back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. I'm your host, Savana. So today we're doing another episode where I'm interviewing another fellow amateur competitor. So welcome to the show. I'd love it if you could introduce yourself and your age and what you do for a living.
Hello, thanks for having me on. My name is Rachel Fetterley, and I am 46 years old, and I am a professor in Michigan.
Okay. Well, it looks like you're a bikini competitor and a fellow fan of the show. So I want to make sure I ask this question because I've kind of forgotten a couple episodes. Do you like cupcakes or protein shakes?
I would say definitely more on, I like protein ice cream. I don't typically make shakes, but I use my protein powder to make like protein ice cream or protein fluff. So I guess if I could say that, I would prefer that over cupcakes.
Okay. And then what's your protein powder or fluff of choice or ice cream?
I use First Form vegan protein, and
Nice.
I just like using vanilla, and then I'll add, sometimes frozen fruit or different skinny syrups to change up the flavor, different toppings. So I'm kind of on a vanilla kick right now with blueberries in it.
Oh, nice. So I just switched to a vegan protein powder recently too. And I like it so much better than whey.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I want us to talk about your journey. So when was your first competition?
It was last November. I've only done one.
Okay.
But I had wanted to do one for a long time, and I had toyed around with the idea, had actually registered for one the April before that, but then just decided, I'm not going to follow through with it. I kind of was a little bit apprehensive because I thought, what are people going to think? At the time I would think I was like 43. I thought, people are just going to think I'm silly, like I'm just creating attention for myself. So I just kind of nixed it. And then last year, I kind of just got the bug again and ended up competing in November at the MPC Western Michigan.
Okay. So what intrigued you about this sport? And like, when was the first time that you maybe became aware of the sport itself?
Probably aware of the sport. I would say, probably in my interest, probably about 5 years ago. I had always been, exercise was always a passion of mine, but I was more like the cardio bunny. I did marathons and things like that. And I just completely changed up my style of training probably about 4 years ago, and just focused more on heavy lifting, and more of like a bodybuilding, I guess, type of format versus cardio, because I was doing like lots of boot camps, spin classes, running marathons, and all that kind of stuff. So probably about 4 years ago, I knew some other people that did them, and I was intrigued by it. But then, like I said, just kind of shied away from it, just because I was kind of wondered, what are people going to think? And it kind of held me back.
Yeah. It's kind of awkward doing your first one. Like I remember, like, I didn't want to tell anyone I was doing it. And I would just say like, oh, I'm doing like this fitness competition thing. And they're like, so you're going to like flex on stage? And I was like, that's exactly what I'm doing. I wouldn't tell them it was like a bikini thing. Cause I'm like, I don't really want them to know, which can be kind of a little bit, intimidating. When you first started, was there anything that you learned along the way, that maybe with like dieting and training that you see on society maybe doesn't agree with, but bodybuilding kind of taught you like the correct way how to like train and diet?
Yeah, I guess also kind of just moving away from the whole cardio mindset. What I really changed my mindset on, and I think what maybe like the general population focuses on, is going to work out to burn calories. And I changed my mindset to going to work out and train to build muscle and, train for that reason. So it was always like, how many calories am I burning? Okay, how many hours am I working out today? And with cardio, like to improve, you have to either go faster or go longer or do, and it just got to the point where I'm done with this, so.
Yeah, I think that's a misconception. I'm glad that you brought that up of more is not better. And
Right.
sometimes you have to actually do less than you want to. And same thing with like dieting. Sometimes you actually have to increase your calories. So going into it, did you have a coach to help you through this? Were you just researching everything on your own?
Yeah. So I followed like a formal program. Um, but I did not get a coach until I just did it, everything myself. I had a lot of guidance. Like I had friends that had done competitions before and helped me with my posing. And so I kind of had like a casual posing coach, I guess, that was just a friend. So she helped me create a routine. But then when I was 1 month out, I got a coach for like the last month and just to kind of dial everything in. So just from October to November, I had a coach to kind of guide me through. But yeah, I did most of it on my own.
Where did you get your information? So if someone wants to prep themselves, like what would you give advice for them?
So I got lots of information from Lane Norton and Holly Baxter, just read their contest prep guide, followed kind of the formula and the format in there. The training, I got a program, same thing from them, and just a lot of information watching YouTube videos, lots of information from Paul Ravella, Lane Norton, listening to, I know he's your coach Adam, listening to their podcast, Bikini in the Brain, just arming myself with lots of information as much as I could. So.
Yeah, I think now it'd be easier. Like I probably wouldn't recommend prepping yourself because it's really hard, but there's enough information out there. If you're not able to like afford a coach and you want to just like try it out, like there's so much information, you can probably do it yourself,
Right. Yeah.
And I followed all those things too before I started because I was interested in it. So if you're interested in it, like it's still good to like learn too.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think my apprehension with getting a coach is because it wasn't necessarily even like a financial thing, but it kind of was, okay, if I sign up with a coach, then I really am doing this. And again, still that apprehension of like, what are people going to think? And who am I to say I can do this, and it kind of felt, it was just, it was causing a little bit of stress, but I was glad that I did.
Yeah. During the 30-day period, and it's not a lot of time, but it is a lot of time. What was the biggest difference that you felt from everything?
Having a coach. It took the pressure off of me. I wasn't second guessing. Like, I wonder if I'm dropping my calories enough. Am I dropping them too much? How is my cardio enough? Like, what am I even supposed to do to make sure I'm ready? And I know that in that 4 weeks that I had a coach, I dropped like 5 pounds in just the last 4 weeks. So just having somebody to, and it wasn't even like my calories got dropped significantly a lot lower than what I was doing. But just having somebody to kind of tell me what to do, and I didn't have to stress about, am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? Taking the guesswork out of it.
I agree. Having a coach does they get to take the stress. I follow the plan. If the plan is wrong, it's on them.
I'm a rule follower. Yeah. I'm good at just being told what, I'll do what you tell me to do, so.
Yeah, I like that too. So before, like, what's your background as far as like sports go? Like, did you do sports growing up? What is your background?
I'm a dancer. Okay. So I always was a dancer. I started dancing when I was 7 years old, just your traditional, dance studio life, dance competitions, traveling around the country. I actually got my BA, my first degree in dance, and I taught dance in a public school for 13 years. And I also taught health. And then, so I've been a classroom teacher actually for 17 years. And then got a position as a professor, and I'm teaching pre-service teachers. So I'm teaching health and physical education to pre-service teachers. So dance is definitely like my background. So the whole stage part of the bikini competition, I felt completely comfortable with. But I actually like the process better than the actual day of. But I think that was for some other reasons, but we can go into that later. But sports wise, I ran. I did cross country and track distance stuff.
Okay. So being an athlete wasn't something that you just had to learn. It was, you already knew what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so posing too must have been pretty easy to catch on.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Okay.
definitely was easy to catch on. Like I could mimic what somebody showed me to do. It
Yeah.
wasn't awkward for me. I feel like, that I think it can always improve. I think my posing could definitely, um, I think everybody can always work on it, but it didn't feel unnatural for me. I felt comfortable doing it.
Yeah. So going back to like your friends and family, I know that you were a little bit insecure about that like relationship of like, what do they think? And a lot of people deal with this. So like, how did you break it down to friends and family of this new identity, hobby path that you were pursuing?
Right. So, I told my husband that he had known that I was wanting to do it, the year before, and completely always supportive of anything that I wanted to, try out. And so I had told him, but in terms of telling other people, I was still really nervous about. But I was on the phone with my sister-in-law, and she had a friend that had just competed in um, I don't think it was in bikini. It was another division, but she had just competed. And so I just told her, I said, what? I think I'm thinking about doing one. She's like, you totally should. She's like, you already put in the work. Why not show it off? And I thought, you know what? She showed confidence in me and she accepted it. So I thought, okay, if she's going to accept it, why would other people not? And the more people I told, everybody was just interested, not one person said, well, that's, stupid, or why would you do that? Everybody was supportive and really just interested in it. People would ask me questions and just kind of intrigued by it. So yeah, that part went away pretty quick. I
Yeah.
had a lot of anxiety over it for no reason, really.
But yeah, the first step of just doing it and like deciding to do it and like commit to it is the big, like it's
Yeah,
the hardest thing, I
right.
think, because it's scary. You're like, I don't know, like, can I do this? And then you actually start doing it. You're like, okay, everyone's accepting this.
Yeah,
This is great. This is helping others. Cause they
right.
start to see you like looking really good. And they're like, I want to do a little bit of what you're doing too.
Yeah, yep. So it was no, it was a good experience.
That's good. Well, breaking it down to show day, like going into it, were you nervous leading into up to your show day?
No, but like I said, I reflecting back like that day of, I enjoyed the process more than that actual day. My show location got moved because this was November of last year. So this was like the height of COVID.
Yeah.
So one venue wouldn't allow for it. So they moved the venue across the state. And so instead of being a half hour away where my family was going to come, it was now 3.5 hours away.
Oh, wow.
So, and they made that decision about a week before the show because they couldn't do it at the venue that they were going to.
Yeah.
So I only went by myself.
Okay.
Nobody was there. Actually, two people that we followed each other on Instagram, just, through, just searching people out, and they actually lived in the area. So they came and watched, which was so cool.
That's
But
awesome.
I'd never met them in person, but they came and watched, but none of my family came. And so that just kind of took, some of I wanted them there, so that was just kind of a bummer, but I wasn't nervous for the show. I kind of was just anxious to get it, kind of just anxious to like get it going, like I remember I didn't sleep the night before. I think I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and did not sleep at all
Yeah.
after that. And I just was like, okay, let's get it started. Let's go. I'm ready to have it done, and just, yeah. But
Because show day
so
is
it
like
wasn't bad.
boring. Like
Yeah.
I think show day is kind of boring because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, there's so much anxiety, and then you get there and you're like, and we wait
Right.
all day, like all
Right.
day. And then you wait some more, and then you literally get like 2 minutes maybe on stage. And then it's like, we wait all day for finals too. It's a lot of waiting. So I agree with you too. Like, I think the process is way more fun than the actual show day itself. Like, show day is fun when you look back on it, but the actual show day, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, let's get it on. Let's move. Like, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I need to eat. Like, let's go. Was there anything, that happened that you didn't expect to happen, like as far as like the order of events, or did your coach kind of like explain like the process of like what to expect on show day and like backstage?
So I think the venue that mine was at, because it had gotten changed, I mean, it was a very small venue. It wasn't like a performance venue, really. It was kind of like a makeshift stage, not an auditorium type of atmosphere. And it was completely fine. Like, I didn't have anything to compare it to because it was my first show. And I had never actually been to a show. So I'd only known like what I've watched on YouTube, so, but from what she explained, my show actually went a lot faster than the normal show, because we had Bikini, went first, and then for finals, we went first again, and we were done, I think I was driving home by like 2 p.m.
Oh, wow.
After finals. So it was like finals happened right after.
Okay. So
pre-judging.
They did it like immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. That's something that during COVID, I think they switched.
Yeah, exactly. Things. I think they just wanted, everybody was in there. They just wanted people kind of in and out. So
were you happy with your look?
I was. Yeah, I was. I did my own hair and makeup.
Okay.
Yep. I did my own hair and makeup. So I had extensions. And yeah, I was happy with it. Looking back on it, like looking back at my pictures, I'm just like, wow, I was just so tiny. I had come off of being through quarantine, or, through what everything was shut down. Like, the gyms only opened up in September, and my show was in November.
Okay. So you only had,
I only had 2 months really of really training hard. Like, my husband is pretty handy, and he made like kettlebells out of iron and a squat rack for us in the garage, and we had all this stuff, but it still wasn't the same, so we were working out and lifting, but most of my time, the whole summer before that, was just, doing essentially like cardio, because nothing was, the heaviest weights we had were like a 60-pound barbell, so I wasn't doing anything heavy.
Okay. And how did you end up placing?
I got 4th.
And did you compete in like?
It was in masters.
Did you do open or novice?
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I was happy with how I did. Like, I didn't really care. I didn't have any expectations. I just wanted to say that I did it, I didn't have any expectations at all. So, but looking back on it, I think I would do things different. I would have, crossed over and done a few more classes just to have more practice on stage, just because it was so short and quick anyways, and have, I guess, more chances, just to go out there. Yeah. So I would do that differently. But yeah, I just competed in the masters.
Yeah, that's one thing that I do know. If you're competing, don't just think that you need to do like the novice or just masters. Like, do as many as they will allow you, especially for your first time, just so you can get on stage more. Right. Like, get it out of your system. Like, do masters, novice, do open, like do all the classes that you can, just to get like as much stage time, especially for the first time show. Because you don't get a lot of stage time when you compete at all. Yeah. So the more that you can get, the better. Were you able to get any feedback from the judges?
Nope. I did not get any feedback. Nope. I texted or emailed them afterwards, but I didn't hear anything back. So I know from looking at my stage shots that I I needed to put on some more muscle, and I didn't have any problem getting lean. I mean, I was super lean. And just need to build more.
Yeah, that's often it's pretty easy to get lean when you don't have any
Yeah.
muscle. Honestly,
Yeah.
I look back
Yeah.
at my first show and I was like, dang, I was pretty lean, but I was just like a little twig.
Yeah.
So when you are going into your off season now, how has that process and transition been?
It's been great. I started reversing right out of my show, and I've just been either reversing or just maintain, like I would go through periods of maintaining. I did a 3-week little cut in the summer, just before vacation. But other than that, I've been maintaining on pretty high calories and definitely having enough food. And yeah, I feel great. I'm 90% sure I'm going to do a show in April. So I, I mean, I haven't registered or anything for it obviously yet, but that's my plan. So, I'm excited to see kind of what I know. I've definitely put on muscle this past year.
Yeah.
um, I'm not sure how much, but I would say I'm just from what I've figured, I think probably at least like 3 pounds or 4 pounds of muscle, in the year. So I'm excited to kind of see, what I look like, through
I
prep
like that.
this next time.
For reference, how tall are you?
I'm 5'6.5".
And when you started your fitness journey, what was, I don't know if you keep track, like what was your weight like starting your prep? And then when you were on show day, if you know it, and then like,
Yep.
where are you now?
Yeah. So, when I started my prep, I mean, I can't even remember like the day. I think it was, I competed in November. I think it was probably July that I started prepping. I can't even remember like a specific day. I remember getting my coach in October, but I think I did like July, August. I think I did 3 months. I think I did a total of like 16 weeks. So I was probably at about 127, 126 when I started. And then, which is pretty much like kind of where I maintain. Anywhere between like 125 and 130 is where I typically maintain. When I was like years ago, when I was just running myself ragged with tons of cardio, I mean, I was maintaining at like 112, 115, like way too, thin. So, and then my stage weight was 116.
Yeah. So like what, 10 pounds? Is that like
Yeah. And
20
now
pounds?
I'm back up to 127.
Yeah. Did you
So
feel good lean?
yeah.
You felt okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't feel, yeah, like, um, I didn't feel, bad at all. Like um, I actually don't recall like ever being like super drained or having really low energy. I mean, I always had enough energy to do my cardio and my workouts. And, I remember being hungry at the end, but not horrible. In fact, I remember my coach, had me deplete a little bit at the beginning of peak week and then was slowly adding in carbs leading up to the show. And I don't even think I ate everything I was supposed to. Like I didn't follow like exactly what she told me to do because I just couldn't eat it.
It gets a lot like in peak week
Yeah.
when you have to do those carb loads. Like
Yeah.
I do remember it's almost sickening because
Yeah.
you shrink your stomach down and suddenly
Right.
it's like loading all of these
Yeah.
carbs. And
And I'm
you're
like,
like,
I don't want to eat any more jasmine rice. I really
yes.
don't.
Oh gosh, I know. It's so funny that, you're so hungry one week and then when you get the
Right.
extra food, you're like, never
Yeah.
mind, I'm good.
Right. Right. Yep.
Did you ever have like a post-show treat that you looked forward to, or like how did you
I
feel?
was all about looking forward to something like I can't wait to eat this, this, and this. But when it came down to it, after my show, I stopped at a gas station and I got a Quest bar.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So
Because I'm like, I just was like, everything, I didn't want to do that to myself. I didn't want to go, I don't know. I got a protein bar. And then I remember I got home that night. Because like I said, I left at like 2:00 in the afternoon. And so I was home by dinner time and my husband's like, what do you want to do? You want to go out? I'm like, you know what? I just want to cook want to cook something, but I want to cook something different. I don't want ground turkey. I don't want zucchini. I don't want rice. I don't want rice cakes. I don't want, egg whites. I just want to cook something different. So I remember we went and got, shrimp, and I kind of made like a burrito bowl. I made, we got guac, shrimp, and corn tortillas. I made my own chips. I think we had a margarita, but it wasn't anything crazy.
I love that because, I wish I was that person. I binged hard because I thought I had to, but now it's so much different now. No, I will get like a protein cookie, perhaps a protein bar, and get on my plan again because you're just so sensitive to calories post show. Even though you might not think it, it's like you are just like soaking up all of those extra calories too.
Yeah, nothing sounded good. It just sounded good to like make a big salad and shrimp and guac and And then the next day, I remember Sunday, I didn't track that day. But I don't remember going like off the rails. I think I just ate what I wanted, like, but still mindful of everything I'm eating, like probably made protein pancakes or protein oats and I don't even remember what I ate, but then I started tracking the next Monday to build my calories back up. So, and everybody was like, the reverse is going to be harder than the diet, but I had a good experience. I didn't have any binge fasts. I don't remember, I know sometimes people are like, you're going to get hungrier because your metabolism starts to rev up. I didn't really have that issue. I don't know.
Some people are different. Like every body is different because there's people like just like you that don't have those cravings. And then there's people like me who have pregnancy-like cravings. That feels like your body is screaming, we need chocolate when we know we don't need it. And
I think some of it has to do with, so I have IBS. So I know if I eat something, like I'm actually going to feel physically like crap, so it's almost like I know that, so it's not worth it to me,
Yeah, I know I bloat hard. Like I don't do dairy or whey or anything like that because I do have like a pretty sensitive digestion system since I've been eating clean for so long. So anytime, even if I have like artificial sweeteners too, or something that's too processed, I just don't digest it as good as I do for like clean foods. With IBS, did you have any flare-ups during your competition or like during your prep?
No, not really. It helped a lot more, I think, because was minimizing my variety of food, just not necessarily because I had to. I mean, I followed a macro-based approach, not a meal plan, but just because it was easier. Like I knew what worked well with me. Like now, if I know, for example, Brussels sprouts or cauliflower, like that's not going to like sit the best with me, but I'll still eat it and just tolerate it, but going into, especially the last couple weeks of my show, my coach, like the last 2 weeks, the week before peak week, and then the week of peak week, she had me eat the same things just to kind of make sure nothing was going to cause a reaction. So I felt better because I was following a more consistent plan, almost kind of like a meal plan, but not so strict as a meal plan.
Yeah. So you are a macro dieter, not a meal plan. Why would you suggest macros over meal plans?
I guess I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. I mean, I think it's just dependent on the person. Like I understand why sometimes meal plans would be good for somebody, because if they don't have a knowledge base of what the certain macro breakdowns of foods are, like having a meal plan might be good, like takes the guesswork out of it. I like food and I love to cook, so I just want the flexibility. I did follow a meal plan once. Like I did have a dietitian give me a meal plan when I was dealing with like at the beginning of like my IBS I guess, diagnosis. And I followed the meal plan for maybe 2 months, and it wasn't horrible. But it actually would cause me some anxiety if I had to go off the meal plan for some reason. So because like I said before, like I follow rules, so if you tell me to do this, if then I can't do it, like what am I going to eat? So I guess it just depends on your personality. Like I like the macro based approach because you can create a meal plan for yourself if you want to from your macros, but then you have that flexibility. Like if you're going to go out, or if you want a different kind of protein, or if you want, red potatoes instead of rice, or you want oatmeal instead of, rice cakes or whatever.
Yeah, I am on a meal plan. I did macro tracking for the first part of my competition time, and I enjoyed it. I like doing meal plans now just for convenience sake.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it, but I do agree with you. If I have to, even if it's healthy, make a macro swap that's not necessarily on my plan, I feel like I feel guilty. And it's the same calories, it's the same, 20 grams of carbs here versus 20 grams of carbs of what it was supposed to be or whatever. So it's not like I'm technically going off plan, but it doesn't feel good, So if you can't handle that and just realize it is okay, then meal plans are probably not for you. So having that flexibility for most competitors to get a little bit of balance is probably a better approach. With your family, was there any hard times where you had to or you felt like competing made you miss out on anything?
Not really. No. I mean, I think it's because with my workout schedule, my husband works out too, and we always try to tag team so we're not missing out on something, like right now, like I'll be at the gym when I've got 3 kids. One is 20, she doesn't live at home, and then I have a 17-year-old, so he's a senior, and then we have a 5-year-old. So the 17-year-old could really care less. And then my daughter is not at home. So the little one, I work out when she's at school during the week. And then on the weekend, I might go first thing in the morning before she's even up, but my husband's here, so really the gym schedule isn't really conflicting with anything. It's not like I'm going at night after she gets out of school. And then food wise, we've always just kind of had different meals anyways, because I just cook different stuff for I kind of cook like 2 meals. That's just how we've always done it. It's like, kind of cook 2 meals anyways, or, modify it a little bit, so, cause I don't eat red meat, but my rest of my family does. So
I'm glad that you brought that up, because competing, you shouldn't feel like you're missing out on anything, because you're really just, being a little bit more mindful of what you're consuming as far as calories go, and you're working out a little bit more, really, if you really simplify it.
Yeah. And I never really asked my kids, but I don't think they really noticed any difference from normal working out mom to contest prep mom. It's like, I still go to the gym. It's not like I changed anything, it's like, I've always gone to the gym and worked out. And so I don't think anything really changed in terms of my routine or anything like that.
Yeah, that's exactly how it should be, because it's simple, So if you're thinking, a lot of people will say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're so disciplined and all this stuff. Like, it's just part of your routine and your habits. And so after a while, it just becomes the normal thing. With alcohol, was that hard for you to stop? Did you continue to drink on your prep or not?
I drank at the beginning of my prep. And it's like maybe a glass of wine with dinner. We never really go out. And I mean, it was the height of COVID anyway. So I mean, the restaurants weren't open anyways, but it would be like a glass of wine, maybe with dinner at night. But I cut that out at the end. Probably, I don't know, maybe the last 6 to 8 weeks. Not because I ever drank too much where it impaired my sleep or I couldn't train the next day, but it's just like 120 calories from wine. No, thanks. I would rather have some, 2 rice cakes with a tablespoon of peanut butter.
Exactly. And so I would much rather eat it than just drink my
Yeah.
calories
Yeah.
too. Because a lot of people are like, they just don't want to give up food, or they
Right.
don't want to give up alcohol, which it's
Right.
not that long of a time that you
It's not.
technically have to give up anything, especially if you're
Right.
doing flexible dieting too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it was probably the last 2 months. And it's really, I mean, just I guess it wasn't hard for me, but I could see why if it's part of somebody's, nightly routine, maybe it would be difficult. But it's like the first day you just say, oh, I'm not gonna have a glass of wine tonight. And then from there on out, it's easy, at least that's how it was for me. You just kind of have to decide, okay, I'm not gonna drink anymore after today. And then that's, like I said, I'd rather eat the food.
So what is your goals in this sport?
I don't have any really like goal in terms of placing or getting to a national stage, or definitely not turning pro or anything like that. I really don't. I just am doing it for myself, really. I
Yeah.
just want to, I do want to see how I look this time and just competing with myself, competing to see what I can do, compared to last time.
I love that, because you know what? Like, you don't just have to have these aspirations of becoming the best in the world to compete. You
Right.
can do it for yourself. And I think that's the best way to do it, because
Yeah.
you always win at the end of the day. Like, if you can just be happy in your changes that you're making, and as long as you're enjoying it, that's literally all that matters.
Right. I think, yeah, I totally agree. I know a lot of people have a goal to, turn pro or to, get to this level or do this competition. But like I said before, I really just enjoyed the process, and I kind of, you know, I'm the only, I guess, disappointment I have is that I wish I would have started a little bit sooner,
Yeah.
but there's so many women out there that are, older than me that are doing it too. So
Mhm.
um I think it's cool that this is a sport that you can continue to do as you get older. Um so I think
Yeah.
that's, yeah,
I
it's
like it too, because I kind of thought, I started when I was in college, and I didn't do college sports. So I thought, there's nothing out there for me, right? Like, what happens if you don't do college sports? So it's like, you can do
right.
like you can do like rec leagues and
Intramurals or yeah.
intramurals. And those aren't really like, they're not really that competitive. I mean, you can get there, there are those, like softball leagues or whatever that are like competitive, but I'm like, I need something that's really going to keep me accountable, like really going to like help me get this competitive energy out. And it's
Right.
something that even if I wasn't going to be on a stage, I can still do it for the rest of my life. Like, I love training,
Right.
so you can continue to diet and exercise. And it's really fun, because like, you get to see your body changing too,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
like building it. And you're like, okay, so all of that hard work is actually doing something, like it
Right.
actually
Exactly.
works.
Exactly. Yep. I know. I think it's people have I think why I was anxious about telling people is because it's so subjective, and it is, physique based, like what you look like.
Yeah.
But um I think, it's just a great goal to have, just to kind of try to improve yourself. And like my sister-in-law said, you're putting in the work anyway, so why not, if you want to go show it off and go on stage and compete against other people and see what you can do compared to last time, why not?
Yeah, I agree with you. What other advice do you have for someone that's thinking about competing but not sure?
Thinking about competing but not sure. I would say don't let your age hold you back, because that's kind of why I thought, people would say, well, she's 45. Why is she, she's got kids, and why does she think that she has to go out and do this? Um, to not let your age hold you back, to just tell a few people and just see their reaction, because if it's anything like what happened to me, people are excited for you. And I had so many people wishing me luck and just reaching out, like on social media, that my own personal in-person friends and family, that I wouldn't think that I don't even really talk to otherwise, but they were just rooting me on, cheering me on. So just tell a couple people and just see what their reaction is. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that people are really intrigued by it and excited for you, because it's not like everybody does it. When you are on social media and you're looking at everybody that you follow as a competitor, but when you think about it, like the general population, no, this isn't something that everybody does. So if you can say that you did it, it's an accomplishment. So I would suggest if you really want to do it, do it.
Yeah. I love that so much because, I did follow the sport at the time, and I thought, there's going to be thousands of girls that are going to compete, and I have no idea how it's going to go. It's so scary. And it's a small population. There's technically not that many people are actually competitors, especially in like your hometown area. Like I live in a small town, and there's maybe less than 5 total, like of all bodybuilding types of men and women that I can, so it's not a lot. So it's a very niche community, but it's a very welcoming and positive, inspirational community too. So like everyone that is in health and fitness is there to like better themselves. And like, we want to bring everyone up together. So like you're going to get a lot of encouragement from others. If you're thinking about doing, everyone will tell you that you'll do great at it, or at least to try it out. Looking back at your own journey, was there any mistakes that you made or lessons that you learned as far as like mindset or anything like that you'd like to share?
In terms of when I was going through my competition, or just in general, like health and fitness?
Just a general health and fitness.
I would say to look at kind of like how when we started out, is to look at your training as something that you can progress and improve on every week, rather than trying to beat that calorie burning number, and thinking of how you can fuel your body with food and not just, try to limit your calories. Because the more you can, like in your improvement season, the more you can eat, and the higher calories that you can build up to, I think that's the ideal situation. So instead of I think I used to have just a backwards mentality in terms of food not being fuel, and working out is just trying to burn something, trying to be like the smallest person in the room, and now it's like, oh my gosh, I would not want to be thin and emaciated. I want someone to look at me and be like, wow, like she's got like, like somebody at the gym the other day, like the girl that works at the counter, she's like, I can tell your quads are growing, and it's like, I'm like, yes, that's what I want to hear. And I don't want to hear, oh, you're so skinny, I don't want to hear that anymore.
Yeah. Building muscle gives you, everyone says they would like to get toned. I hate that word. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Like, I don't want to like get big, but I want to be toned. Like, it is hard to grow muscle. I promise you, those 10-pound dumbbells are not going to build what you think they're going to build.
That was me. Like, I mean, I didn't ever say like, I don't want to get bulky, or I don't want to lift weights. But when I would lift weights, it's like, I would just, because I always would go into the weight room, I would do like 90 minutes on the elliptical. I mean, my gosh, what a waste of time. And then go into the weight room, and every time pick up the 10-pound weights. And I'm like, why? It's like just 10 pounds, 10 pound chest press, 10-pound bicep curl, 10-pound shoulder press, 10 pounds for everything, and I don't know why I did that. I know back then, even when I did that I wasn't thinking, I don't want to get bulky. I think I was just thinking, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm burning calories while I'm doing this. So that's all that counted. I just had a backwards mentality, I
think there's so many people that think working out is just about burning calories, and they think dieting is just about like tracking or lowering your calories and lowering and lowering and lowering. And the one thing that I like to explain to people about dieting is that you can't diet forever, because if you started to cut your calories now, you can't get to 0. you would die. Like
Right.
you have to have something to stay fueled. You can lower them, but at a certain point you adapt to everything and then you have to increase them. So it's like constantly bringing them up, bringing them down, bringing
Yeah.
cardio up and down. And same thing with weightlifting. Like you can't PR every time. And you
Right.
also can't lift, the 10-pound dumbbells every single time because it's not going to do what you need it to do. So I really like to preach, especially with older women too, like, and younger women, just building muscles in general is going to help give you longevity. It keeps you fresh. It keeps you healthy. You'll burn more calories, the more muscle mass that you have on your frame as well too.
Right.
So those are all great things to do.
Yeah. And just, it's so cool to realize how your body will adapt to things, because when I was, a cardio fanatic, and I think I remember like in my Fitness Pal, my average daily calories was like 1,400. And I'm like, I would die if I was eating 1,400 right now. But that was what I was just eating, like not even trying to diet, but that's just what I was maintaining on, and now, what I can maintain at is so much higher. So it's just crazy how your body can adapt. And I think people get freaked out when they think, well, I am not losing weight on, 1,400 calories. And now you want me to eat more and you want me to stop doing cardio. Like that's where I was scared at first. I had people tell me like, you need to stop doing the cardio and you need to start lifting more and you need to eat. And it's like, just do it. Just try it. You can always, and then I think what finally changed my mind is someone told me, what, you can always change back. Like, you're not going to gain 40 pounds overnight. So if you don't like what it does, change back. So just make the change. So I did. Like, I remember it was about 4 years ago. I just thought, you know what, I am going to stop doing all this cardio and I am just going to start lifting heavy. And I did. And I did not, blow up for sure.
As like easy reference points, I always do is take your weight on the scale, add a 0. That should technically be like the lowest you could ever put your calories at. You could maybe go a little lower, but like usually that's about where you could put your calories. So if you're 150 pounds, that'd be like 1,500 calories. And you can max out. The sky's the limit. You can push food for days. There's a certain point where it's not going to do anything, but you can always go from there. Like you can start at a base and then slowly increase it, 50 calories one week, maybe you add 100 in the next and kind of let your body balance, because it'll adapt to anything that you do to it. You just have to give it some time to like settle in. And there's a lot of people that are afraid to eat more and are doing just like you used to, a ton of cardio and not eating enough, and they're plateauing and they don't understand why.
Right.
And it's just because your body adapts. So you have to change it up. You have to give it a break from cardio and you need to feed it. Sometimes it's not going to let go of that body fat until you give it some, some fuel to actually have energy. If you have a little more calories, you have better energy, you have better lift. So you burn more calories because you feel better too.
Yep. Yep. And then your NEAT will probably increase, so all that stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm glad that I kind of switched gears, and I'm happy with it. It's also less time. I remember when I was training for marathons, and it's like doing your long runs. It's like, okay, I'll see you guys in 4 hours. It's like, I don't want to do that again.
Well, so we're getting close to the end of our interview. I just want to make sure that we covered everything that you wanted to cover. Was there any topics that I didn't ask you that you wished I would have asked you about?
I don't think so. Is there anything that you think your listeners would want to know about family work-life balance? I don't know. Maybe
one thing. The only thing that I always get is like, how do you stay motivated on days that stuck or days that you don't feel like it? How do you stay motivated?
Yeah. So, I think some days you can be totally motivated. Some days you're like, I cannot wait. I want to go crush this workout. I can't wait to see if I can lift heavier than last time, but it's more just about determination and having it part of your routine, because it's just part of my routine. Like I plan out what I'm going to do for the week. I know what days I'm going to work out at what time. Sometimes I'm working out, right after my daughter gets on the bus, and sometimes it's a little bit later depending on my teaching schedule. So I already laid it out. It's just a plan. It's like you wouldn't not, brush your teeth before you go to bed, or, it's just part of your routine. So I think motivation is good, but it's more just about creating that habit.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy training. It's like my me time. It's like the only thing that is it's like my hobby, so it's not hard for me really, but I get why people that don't really enjoy it as much as I do, why it might seem like they just want to, oh, I'm not going to go to the gym today. But I think it's just about establishing that routine. And if you have a family, if you have kids, and you just have to be flexible with when you can work out. Like there's been times in my life where I had to go at 4:30 in the morning because it's the only time that wasn't going to conflict with my work schedule, and it wasn't going to conflict with being available for my daughter. That's my priority, like obviously family and then work. And then when can I work out? And then so you can't really adjust your work schedule because unless you're working for yourself, but as a teacher, I can't really adjust that. And then family, and then fit it in around there. So you just have to make it work.
Yeah, find a way. So I think
Yep.
that's a great spot to end our episode. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for reaching out to me. So I love when guests reach out to me because it shows like I want people that want to share their story on here. So if you're listening to this and you want to share your story, reach out to me and DM me on Instagram, and we'll get you set up with an episode. Where can my listeners find you and follow your journey if they are interested in hearing more?
So my Instagram is where I'm the most active. My Instagram is rfet fitness. So RFETT fitness.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to share your story. It's been a pleasure having you. And I hope if you're listening to this, everyone has a great rest of their week.